Hello, my dear students. I am Neha Sharma, social science teacher in DAV Police Public School. I hope you all are well at your place. Students, it is quite clear to you all that in this class we will study about the medieval period. And in this chapter, we will study about the rise of small kingdoms in the North India. We will study about what happened after the death of Harsha in North India. Students, in the previous class, you all study about Harsha, that he was a great king of Vardhana Empire. After his death, the whole Vardhana Empire was divided or broke up in the small kingdoms. Now the question arises that what were the reasons. So let's discuss all these reasons in detail. So the first reason was the miserable economic condition. It means the rulers did not have enough money to manage the expenses of the court, army, and the other administrative expenses, right? And the second reason was the lack of administration. What does it mean? It means the rulers could not able to supervise their work properly. And the third reason was his weak successors. It means the next successors of Vardhana Empire were weak and incapable. Due to weak successors of Harsha, other people got opportunity. So these are the main reasons of the rise of small kingdoms in North India. So this was a period of political instability in North India. At this time, three powerful kingdoms arose between 750 Common Era to 1000 Common Era out of these ruins of Harsha's empire. So question arises, which were these three empires? These were the Rashtrakutas, the Palas, and the Pratiharas. Because of these powerful empires, this age is also known as the age of three empires. My dear students, you can see the map given in your book, which is showing the areas under these three empires. In this map you can see the Rashtrakutas took over control the northern part of Deccan, and the Palas in the eastern India, that is the part of Bengal and Bihar region, and the Pratiharas in Avanti, southern Rajasthan and Gujarat. The three main kingdoms continuously engaged in wars among themselves. They were successful in providing stable administration to the people. It means they were able to provide security to the people, and they were also able to fulfill their basic needs. They also helped in the progress of art and literature. So we will study about all these kingdoms in detail. So let's take Rashtrakutas first. The Rashtrakutas ruler established the most powerful empire in northern part of India in 753 Common Era. They ruled over large part of present Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Karnataka also. These Rashtrakutas acted as a bridge between North and South India. What does it mean? Like a bridge is a structure that acts as a link between two areas. Similarly, these Rashtrakuta rulers joined the North and South India, as there were lots of variation in language, climate, food habits of North and South India. The famous Rashtrakuta king Dantidurg was known as the real founder of Rashtrakuta Empire. Govinda III and Amogh Varsha were also very well known Rashtrakuta kings. The Rashtrakutas were great warrior. What does it mean? It means Rashtrakutas were actively engaged in battles. Okay, they were known as great art lovers. They all were scholars, and they established their own armies, and they also encouraged trade for the prosperity of the people. The Rashtrakuta rulers took up the titles like Chakravarti, Maharaja Dhiraj, and Param Bhattarak. What does it mean? Chakravarti means an ideal universal ruler who ruled over a larger area, and Maharaja Dhiraj means a king ranking above a Raja who was free to take all the decision for his kingdom. And Param Bhattarak means they ruled over many small kingdoms in their empire. All the Rashtrakuta rulers followed Jainism, but they also supported people of other religions like Buddhism and Hindu, Muslims. They were support art and regional literature also. Regional literature means literature written in local languages. Rock-cut temples of Ellora, built at the time of Rashtrakutas, are the best proof of religious tolerance of Rashtrakutas, because these temples belong to different religions like Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain. King Amogvarsha was a great lover of Sanskrit. He wrote a book, Kavi Ragamarga, in Kannada. It is a language of Karnataka. By the end of 10th century, the Chalukyas crushed the power of Rashtrakutas and took over the control of their kingdom. Next is Palas. We have very limited information about the history of Bengal of this period, but it is well known that during this period there were lack of peace in these areas. All the small kingdoms of Bengal engaged in wars among themselves. So the people of Bengal elected Gopala as their king, who can maintain peace and order in that area. He also set up an empire, and his family members ruled over for about 400 years. His successors used Pala after their name, and that's why this empire came to be known as Pal dynasty. Dharampala was the greatest ruler of Palas, and he set up a center for Buddhist education, that is known as Vikramashil Vihar. Dharampala's son Devpala extended his empire. The Pala rulers were followed the Buddhism. They sent many scholars to the other countries to spread Buddhism like Ashoka and Kanishka. They also gave grants and charity to Brahmins to build more temples. They were supported art, education, and literature at their time. West Bengal, the state of India, was known as Goda, and the eastern part of Bengal was known as Vanga at the time of Pal dynasty. And we all know about the famous Nalanda University. Yes, we have read about it in our previous class. The famous Nalanda University was also revived during the Pala Empire. Dear students, that's it for today, and next we will study in our next class. Thank you.